Welcome to a quick overview of CSS Flexbox. This will be a quick walkthrough of what and how Flexbox operates. If you'd like to follow along, you could clone the source files from the repo. The link will be in the description. I've created a simple div with an ID of container to hold my example div areas called rows and columns. And each of these contains 4 paragraph tags numbered 1 through 4. I've set up some styles in a CSS file to make the layout that you see here, where the 2 div IDs of row box and column box are grouped together for an easier application of the Flexbox properties we'll be adding later on. So that's it right there. As you can see, if I increase the border to 10 pixels, it affects both of them at the same time. So what is Flexbox? Flexible box model, aka Flexbox, is a layout model that allows easier distribution and alignment of items that is applied to. This is done along 2 axes. The first one is the main axis, which is determined by the flex direction property. Flex direction row will set all the items to flow horizontally, whereas column will place everything on top of each other like a stack. The other axis is the cross axis, which runs perpendicular to the main axis. So if you have a flex direction of row, your main axis will be horizontal and cross axis will be vertical and vice versa. Flexbox property is usually added to the containing element. So set the display to flex, so the items align to rows as that's the default. Now specify the flex directions. Flex direction of row for the first one, and flex direction of column for the second one. When you save it, you can see that the row box remains the same because flex direction row is the default setting, and the column is stacked back up again. You can ignore the items actually stretching to fill the container widths and lengths because that's one of the default settings for one of the Flexbox properties. So with the basic setup done, there's 2 ways the items can be aligned. First is the main axis using the justify content property. Center will push the items along the main axis. So row is pushed to center horizontally, and column is pushed to center vertically. You can ignore the content stretching to fill its container as that's the default property I'll explain later. Next one is flex start, which places all the items towards start of the container along the main axis. And flex end places all the items towards the end of the container. Space around sets the items with even distribution amongst the items only. So you can see that there's less space between the container edges and the items. Space evenly takes the container boundaries into consideration as well when spacing. And finally, space between places the start and end items along the boundaries and spaces the rest evenly. To control the secondary axis, we'll need to use the align item property. We'll comment out the justify content for now. We can see the default effect of the items being stretched to fill the containing element. So if you set a value of stretch, it's still the same as before. To fix it, we can use the property center, which will prevent the stretching and place it in the middle of the secondary axis. So the row box items are moved to the middle of the vertical space, and the column box items are moved to the middle of the horizontal space. Flex start pushes it to the start of the axis, and flex end will push it to the end of the secondary axis. We can do a combination of justify content and align items. So now the items are aligned to the end of the secondary axis and spaced between on the main axis. And switching to center for both properties will place the items in the center of the container. So that was just a quick intro to Flexbox and what it can do. There's several other features which I'll be covering going forward, but this should be enough to get you started. If you found this useful, please hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons. If you didn't like it, let me know in the comments as well. Thank you so much for watching.